Woman opens the radio, claims her sister sent her a message from the other side. Have you ever experienced having a deceased loved one try and visit you in some form? If no, well then you might want to visit some stories over the web. Through the years, these stories have circulated over the internet, and there have been very common stories that you might have encountered yourself without even realizing it. Here's the most common ways people have reported believing their deceased loved one was nearby and trying to contact them. It was believed that fragrance or scent is unique and can quickly identify an individual. The scent may be one of the strongest ways to know that a deceased relative or friend is close. Most common reports of people smelling the fragrance of dead loved ones say they still catch whiffs of that person's unique smell. For instance, they would say that they could still smell cigarette smoke in the cases of loved ones who were smokers when they were alive, and smell certain foods that loved ones used to enjoy eating the most. Dreams of friends or family members lost were claimed to be actual visitations from beyond. People who have dreamed such claim their deceased loved ones will try to reach out while the person is asleep, that they appear and then disappear. Others would claim that their friends and family members have tried to deliver comforting messages during dreams. They do so just to say that they are doing okay and relieve their survived loved ones from the pain and guilt. Another sign that deceased loved ones may be close by are when you see objects being moved from where you left them and being put in your path. These could particularly be meaningful objects such as pictures or pieces of jewelry that could move mysteriously. It is their belief that these objects are being placed in their way as a way of letting them know that they are still with them and they want them to know of their presence. But the way this woman's sister tried to reach out to her is a lot more creative. And creepy, we might add. Sometimes, relatives of departed ones can almost always sense when their departed is nearby. This happens when there is a tangible shift in the room. While it's not obvious to the rest in the room, it is actually the one sign that fully convinces most skeptics. It's never easy to describe, but the relatives will just know or feel the deceased person's presence. This feeling might even be more physical, such as feeling a shift in the bed or on the couch next to you. A sign that a dearly departed is around is also said to be when a favorite song or song meaningful to your relationship comes on at just the right moment. Reports say that people who've experienced a loss would hear these meaningful songs over and over in different places that they go. These songs are said to be reminders that the person is still beside them. You could say that it could just be a coincidence, but many reports that these songs are played at the precise moment that they began thinking of the person they've lost. Which brings us to this woman's story. What would seem like a scene straight out of a movie is a reported strange electrical activity when deceased friends or family members are nearby. These could be explained in many forms, such as a flickering light or television set, an appliance suddenly turning on, or an electronic device inexplicably beginning to beep or make noise. The most common are reported phone calls with no one on the other end of the line. This strange activity surrounding electrical devices is now very often associated with lost relatives. One way in which departed loved ones communicate with their families from beyond is through the use of numbers. There's been reports of people who suddenly begin seeing very important or meaningful numbers pop up all over the place, such as book pages, clocks, or on television. These numbers could relate to important dates, ages, or even favorite numbers. Again, these occurrences could be claimed to being purely coincidental, but others believe it to be much more meaningful. There's a case in Arizona where these reports have been manifested by a sister who succumbed to an illness. Crystal and Christy were born 8 years apart. Raised in Arizona, the sisters would always stick together. The age gap has brought them closer even more, as Crystal would always look up to Christy. Christy loved dancing and she loved music. Her favorite snack was pistachios and Coca-Cola. Her favorite color was blue. She hated when Crystal would steal her clothes from her room, but her younger sister just loved being like her big sister. When Christy was 4 years old, she was diagnosed with kidney failure. She had to get both kidneys removed and begin dialysis at her young age. Christy grew up a different childhood as her younger sister. She went through so much pain. The disease required Christy to take so many medications, had so many surgeries, and battled so hard for her life. Crystal would always take care of her when she was sick or hurting, or when she just got a surgery and needed help changing bandages. She saw her at her lowest and her highest. A person with chronic kidney disease is someone whose kidneys are no longer functioning to filter and clean the blood the way healthy kidneys normally would. Without treatment, life-threatening waste and toxins will build up in the body. At this point, dialysis treatment is needed to prolong life. Dialysis works by filtering toxins, waste, and fluid from your blood through a semi-permeable membrane. Kidney dialysis also use a dialysate solution in the filtering process to remove unwanted substances from your bloodstream. For a young child such as Christy to go through dialysis early in life is just unimaginable. Crystal remembered everything like it was yesterday. One morning, her mother woke her up to watch her baby sister while she took Christy to the hospital. She came out of the room and saw Christy over the toilet vomiting. Crystal screamed, saying she's vomiting pink stuff. Crystal also remembers sitting on her mom's bed next to her baby sister, who at the time was only 2. She could see Christy clearly in her room. Christy was jumping up and down, panicking because she couldn't breathe. Their mom was on the phone with 911 and trying to calm her sister down. The next events would seem like a blur. Crystal saw her sister drop to her knees, and then EMS came in. She screamed that she couldn't see and everything was dark. Christy looked over to Crystal and said, "Please don't let me die." That was one of the most terrifying experiences Crystal would ever experience in her teenage years. She was afraid Christy would die. What would she do without her big sister? When the EMS came, they tried to revive Christy. The problem was they couldn't find a pulse. They had to administer CPR and it took them 24 minutes until they found a pulse. It seemed like the longest 24 minutes for Crystal, seeing the EMS trying to bring her big sister back, and when she did, it would change the rest of their lives. Those 24 minutes was too late though. Christy was brain dead and in a coma for 12 days. Crystal was 14 at the time. She had just witnessed the most horrifying thing a teenager could ever go through. For Crystal, she was her best friend. She would always remember the words, "Don't let me die," repeat at the back of her head. Christy's words were the last words she ever said. The last words to come out of her mouth were to her young sister. Those words would always haunt Crystal. She would always feel that she failed her best friend, or didn't fight for her hard enough. Crystal always thought that she could have offered her kidneys or maybe prayed and begged God a little harder. The next years were bound to be harder than she thought. Crystal went into a deep depression that lasted for 2 years. She would always dream of Christy. Her dreams were always the same. The surroundings were empty and white, and it was just her and Christy on a merry-go-round talking. One day in the dream, she told her, "I'm okay, it doesn't hurt anymore," and that was the last dream she had of her. Crystal, her mom, sister, and ended up moving to a town called Weslaco, Texas. Weslaco was her mom's hometown. She decided to move because she wanted to be close to her family in case anything happens again. Since the move, things were silent for a while. But Crystal would always think of Christy a lot. She would pray by her urn or talk to her urn in hopes of a sign. It was then that she had finally accepted she moved on and she was happy. Still, she was feeling something else. After a while, Crystal made the decision to move back home to Arizona where she and Christy grew up. She'd visit their home a few times and let balloons go but never received a sign from her. Coming home, she felt her heart full. Although it does hurt her sometimes when she passes by Christy's hospital or old places they would visit together. She would sometimes feel as if her soul is lingering around her more. Crystal would remember their childhood, how she would always go to Christy's room and wear her clothes. She would sometimes make her big sister mad, but she always liked that. For her, it was some of the best memories she had of her big sister. She'd still remember the scent of Christy's clothes when thoughts of their happy childhood would cross her mind. One fine Monday, on March 13, 2018, as Crystal was driving to the gym, something unusual happened. For her, it was just an ordinary day. On Mondays, she would always take the day off to work out. She'd passed by Christy's hospital and shed the usual tear. She shared a post of that Monday on Facebook, talking about how she felt her soul more. She says how hurt she was that her mother allowed her to bring any of her ashes. She got into her car to get to her workout. Getting back in the car to drive home when the song "Hello" came on. What was unusual was this wasn't just the ordinary song, "Hello." She noticed something different. What happened next made her fingers tremble as she scrambled to get her phone to take a video and record the song played on the radio. Crystal was holding her breath. She couldn't believe that she was hearing the same song. She got so excited, so she parked her car and jolted upstairs to show what she caught on her phone to her dad. After playing it a couple of times to her dad, he too had heard what he heard. Next, she ran to her brother's room to show him, and he heard it as well and immediately began researching remixes. They didn't find anything. It was just mind-blowing. She posted what they heard on Twitter. By the evening, her tweet had already gotten more than 39,000 retweets and 168,200 likes. It had gone so viral that others have shared similar experiences as well. Crystal took what she thought she heard on the radio as a sign that Christy was looking out for her. She believes now that moving from Texas back to Phoenix last month to be closer to family was why she becomes emotional at places where she and her older sister used to go. Crystal told azcentral.com on Wednesday how she was driving home from a gym Monday and listening to Live 101.5 FM when she heard the seemingly otherworldly message. She thought she initially heard the word "crispy" in the chorus of the 2010 Martin Solveig and Dragonette Club hit. She said she thought it was an advertisement before hearing her sister's name, Christy, who died of kidney failure in 2009. She goes on saying that she has had dreams about her sister but had never received a message this clear from her. They searched online for remixes of the song whose chorus goes, "I just came to say hello, but were empty-handed until Wednesday." She posted it just to share the beautiful sign she received, never knowing it would blow up the way it did, but it did. The message Christy sent her has brought so many people with similar stories together to comfort each other. The messages they shared filled their hearts with pure love. There's no greater feeling than that. Crystal has finally had peace of mind that her sister was watching her from afar and that she's already seen the light.